Well, welcome back to episode 4, part 2. The question becomes, is there evidence of the spiritual warfare? Well, I believe so. In this next video, you can see the spirit running from one person to another. When the entity leaves the one man, he grabs his head, and when the spirit enters the other man, he wobbles off balance. So the only thing I did do was slow it down for you so that you can actually see the entity move from the one man into the other. By really exposing the spiritual battle, we can arm ourselves against this evil through divine light. Also, revealing the face of God through the many measurable, miraculous recoveries, photo captures, and experiences through other souls. Understanding that Jesus Christ is God's lower self in the flesh form. We must use the white light of Christ for protection in the spiritual battle. Sage and crystals aren't enough. In the Bible, it has the word spirit over 500 times. So you must understand that we are multi-dimensional beings. The physical being is the third-dimensional being. Now, I wanted to kind of explain to you a little story that had happened to me a few years ago, which leads me into the next video, and I'll explain that as well. So it was like the start of our hard times, and I was feeling a little depressed and laying on the couch, and one of my friends had come to me spiritually and said, "Do you need me?" And of course I said yes, I was depressed. Within a half hour, or what I would say the drive time, she was at my house saying those very same words to me. I felt like you needed me. Now, in the next video, you'll see a baptism going on in Honduras, and you'll see two spirits show up here. And if you watch closely, the spirits are actually those who are in the water doing the baptism. This is their astral selves. You can see how they move with the people that are moving in the water and doing the same gestures as they are doing. I thought this video was particularly neat because it shows how we are multi-dimensional beings. Para llegar puro y limpia a su mansión, seguiré a mi Jesús. Para cumplir aquella palabra que dice que el que creyere. Mire que se puso eso. Mire cómo el Espíritu Santo. Ay, santo, aleluya. Mire, ay, no. This is why it says in the armor of God to put on his whole armor. I'm going to tell you about a time when we were, kind of getting back on our feet, and we lived in this very spiritual, active neighborhood and house. The battle between good and evil were very measurable in this neighborhood. Today I wanted to tell you about one of my experiences in this house. We've always tried to help those who are in need. I have a friend of mine who was like a brother to both of us, and we would let him take showers, feed him, and give him a place to crash if needed. In fact, we would leave him our house key so he can come in whenever he needed to. Now, this particular day, he fell asleep in our computer chair, and my husband was in the bedroom, and I was doing dishes. When out of the blue, I felt this very powerful evil presence engulf me, trying to get into my head and use my thoughts. I knew what this was. I used the Lord's Prayer over and over. If it got to the point where I was lost within the prayer, I would just start over. This was a very powerful entity. I did this until I felt it leave. I looked at my friend who was sleeping in the chair at the time, and he turned around and looked at me and said, "I just felt someone touch my shoulder." That was my confirmation. Now, I do believe this spirit was around my friend as he did a lot of personal hustles, and that's why we allowed him to come and have a little bit of a sanctuary, as he is God's children as well. And I don't think the spirit liked that at all. So I started to pray and meditate after this experience. Now, I wanted to tell you this because this actually leads me into the next video. Now, I found this online, and it just so happened I was working on this episode, and I felt it very relevant. Like usual, I had to put it in here. This adds to the clarity of what I'm explaining. I really want you to listen to him. He explains the playbook. He astral projects and casts spells in regions, neighborhoods, and people. This is a spiritual warfare we are in. His name is John Ramirez, and he can explain in his own words who he is. It's time we all armor up with the power of God. In the last few videos, I showed you how powerful we are.
So they initiated me to the dark side at the age of 10 years old. So the first love, the first encounter I had as a 10-year-old boy with the devil showed up and took the offering of giving my life to him. And they put 5 beads around my neck, the 5 worst the 5 worst demons of principalities that are under Satan. They put them right under my neck, which is Santeria. They put them right under my neck, and they said, "These are going to be your spiritual guys. And this is going to be your guardian angels, and they're going to take care of your life from now on." This is the building. This corner building here used to be almost abandoned. The corner building here. It's in the book. That I used to go up and down. Me and my brother used to go get the water and the pump. We got the pump right there. All the apartment was all empty. The apartments, all the apartments was abandoned. Over here, only me, my family, and 2 other families lived here. And my whole childhood was stolen. My whole childhood was worshiping the devil, going to demon church. I would go to demon church from 7 in the evening to 5 in the morning, being trained by witches and warlocks, colors, principle, rights. Who owns this region? Who's in this region? Who's running this principality? What principality name is this? I had how to channel powers. At the age of 13 years old, I was astral projecting my body. I would leave my body home and go to regions and go into the spirit realm and curse dark side, curse neighborhoods, curse, put spirit of prostitution, spirit of drugs into the neighborhood, homosexual spirits here, demonic spirit here, spirit of murder, spirit of suicide. I know how to channel all those spirits into the neighborhood. At the age of 15, 16 years old, I was going into hospitals and putting death in ICU, death in one room, so this person couldn't die, because I wanted to be promoted with the devil, to move up that ranks, to be the biggest devil worshiper in New York City. The devil became my daddy. He replaced my dad because I prayed and I said, "You killed my dad." At the age of 33 years old, my dad got shot in a nightclub in the face for a woman that wasn't even his, when he had to go up and home. And the devil took him out. The devil said, "I replaced the old to keep the new." And the devil became my daddy. There was a club here, and my father died there at 33 years old. And we lived over there. And then when I was 11-year-old boy, there was a store right here in the corner. And the guy got shot right there in the street right there. Right next to the little corner here. The guy got killed there when I went to get the gallon of milk. And I moved up the ranks from devil worshipping. I moved up the ranks. I moved up with principalities and demons to the point that I was able to sit with the devil like I'm sitting with you today. And the devil would manifest himself in human form. Or the presence would come into the room, and I would speak to the devil all night long. And he would give me assignments. I would go to 5 clubs or 5 lounges a night to look for people to recruit to the dark side. I would tell people their fortune.
So I wanted to interject right here where he's actually talking about casting spells on clubs. I actually felt this one time at our local club here, and I spoke on it after I came home that night. I was very upset. I felt the whole place was filled with demonic energy. They knew who I was, and I felt it because of the way they were looking at me and the way they treated me. If you've ever seen the movie Bedazzled, in it they go to a nightclub, and the way they were all zombified in that movie and moving around, it just reminded me of that.
People, their lives. I would tell people things that they did, things that was going to happen to them, that then they had no clue who I was. They didn't know who I was. I just had the demonic powers. I had a taste for blood. I would kill animals and drink the blood every week. If I didn't have money if I didn't have time to buy animal, I will cut myself. One day I was in my building, right? I'm coming down. I was going to get lunch or something like that, right? I was the devil worshiper. I was the third high-ranked devil worshiper in New York City. My connection was from New York City to Cuba, from Cuba to Miami, Haiti, and back to New York. I ran regions. I did witchcraft on people. I was drinking animal blood. I was cutting myself, drinking my blood. I was staying all night doing rituals, demonic rituals. I was living a crazy witchcraft life, astral projecting, cursing neighbor, cursing region. That's the life. I came out of my building one afternoon. There was a group of people that was standing in the corner, and I was like, where that lousy music is coming from? So I went over there, and I was half demon possessed, go over there to attack them. It was the Nikki Cruz young people called Truce from Nikki Cruz Ministries. When I went over to attack them, they had like this wall of fire around them. And what they had was, at the time I didn't know, but today I know, the Holy Spirit pushed me back. And it pushed me back. I couldn't believe the strength that pushed me back spiritually. And I started almost to cry. I couldn't believe. For the first time, I felt my heart was a human. I felt like something grabbed me. I couldn't shake it off. So what I had, the powers that I had for 25 years, couldn't penetrate who these young people were. And they were singing gospel. They were giving testimony. And they were sharing the word. That's what they were doing. And that, it was enough to push me back and put me in my place.
Some of you may have noticed the new thumbnails on these videos, and I wanted to explain this divine experience that I had. I went upstairs to grab something and walked into the studio and seen this light that resembled the downloading symbol that I use part of my logo in my shirts for downloading God. And as you can see, it looks like the downloading symbol, and it's in alignment with it. You can see how bright the light is, and you cannot see the cross that's in the middle of the heart until you get closer. I also wanted to add that this beam of light looks like my book cover, as you can see here, that I use beams of light to resemble downloading process. And this whole wall I designed to be like my book cover. How ironic God shows up like that, right? He knows what he wants put in this podcast. I want you to notice that on the book cover, I have Christ's face and the heart. And then I have the beams of light coming down into another heart where a person is standing there. Now, if you notice the light that beamed on the wall, it is directly on that heart where it says Jesus is Lord, and that cross is in the center of it. Isn't that beautiful? And then I remembered another time something similar happened with my cross my grandmother gave me. And here's this divine experience. God always showing up even in little divine ways, letting you know he is there with you. I want to give a special thanks to our new beautiful spiritual sister, Audrey Jorgensen. You are so awesome. She sponsored our show for a whole year. May God shine his light of peace and divine abundance on you and your family. Thank you so much, sweetie. We appreciate you. Hey, listen, if you like what we do here, you can support us now by sponsoring the show. You can go over to the Anchor app and or Spotify and sponsor us there for $10 a month. For a whole year, it turns out to be $120. This will get you 4 readings a year for free every 4th month. Or if you like what we do here and you don't want a reading, you can still subscribe, share as much as possible, and donate as often as you like. While the videos are only 30 minutes long, tops, it takes weeks to put together. Hey, listen, all the love is appreciated, and God bless. And remember, don't forget to stay tuned because we are doing short videos of sending and receiving.